Hello. So in the last class we were talking about DDL commands. So in today's class we will see one of the most important concepts when it comes to SQL, which is joins. Let me just share my screen. Okay. So before I get into joins, let me just show you one classical example where joins is very much needed. So let us have a look at city table. So if you take a look at just okay. So yeah, as part of joins, let us try to look at two different tables. So if you take a look at city table states that or it has columns city ID, city country ID. So this country ID is again dependent on some other table called country, as we have discussed in the previous class. So this country table will have the equivalent name for each and every country ID. So if you take a look at city table, you will be able to see only the country ID, but it does not make sense to us. Maybe it makes sense to computers if you display country ID, but it really does not make sense to human beings because we cannot remember all the country IDs. So, in such case, when we have data which is dependent on the another table, but we want to display the data from both the tables together. So, in such case, we go for joins. Join. The name itself suggests that we are joining something. So, what are we joining? We are joining two tables. So, data from two tables will be fetched simultaneously. Maybe in order to display it, maybe in order to print it, or any purpose. If you fetch data from two tables simultaneously, we call it as join. So let us go back to the city example. So this is the city table, but we want the country name to be displayed beside the country ID, or we just want only the city name and the corresponding country name to be displayed. So in such case, we use this one. So city dot city ID. Sorry, we don't want city ID. We just need city. So we go for city column and country dot. What about the structure of country? Let me just verify the structure. So it's also just country. Country dot country from city comma country. And going back to so what are the common columns we have here? The common column among the two tables is the country ID. So we have to compare with the common column. So all the city names are displayed along with the country. here the logic is we have a common column among the both tables. So we have to make use of this common column and display the data from both the tables. Or instead of city.country, let us try to display the complete. Let me just display the complete two tables, data from two tables, all the columns. So this is how we can display. So is it clear why we are going for joins?
Yes.
So so when it comes to joins, we have different kinds of joins. So the first type of join is called SQL inner join or just inner join, and the next one is left join, and the other one is right join. Okay, no problem. The final or the fourth one is full outer join. So we will see what does each join, or when do we go for each kind of join. But before that, let me just tell about the joins once again, or how to use the joins. Suppose you are the customer of a company, or you are the customer of, let's say, Walmart. So when you are customer of a Walmart, when you register with Walmart, they will give you a customer ID and corresponding customer name. So let's say they have a table. So let us say they maintain the details of customers in a customer table. So in order to maintain the customer's details, let's say they have a customer ID and customer name table. Again, and also to maintain about the details of sales, they have a table with let's say transaction ID. Then who is the customer who has purchased or who has made this transaction, and also let's say the salesman who has printed this transaction amount. So this table is maintained in order to maintain the details of sales. Let us say they are offering what is called as maybe there is a lucky draw competition. So by the end of every month, they are giving gift to a lucky customer, or they are giving uh, some kind of benefit. So let's say a first transaction is performed by a customer with the ID2, salesman ID, let's say S001, amount, let's say $150. So based on this transaction table, they have a program which randomly chooses one of the lucky winner. So from this table, out of these two transactions, let's say this particular transaction or the customer who does this particular transaction has won the lucky draw competition. So when they go to the table and see who is that customer, they will only have the details of the customer ID, but they will not have customer name here. Or let's say if there is some another field in the customer table which says contact number. So this customer should be informed about the lucky draw that they won. So in order to inform the customer, we need the details of customer. So where can we get the details of customer? We only have customer ID here. So from this customer ID, I will again have to go to customer table. And from customer table, I have to pick the customer with the customer ID 1, his name, his contact number. So instead of having instead of verifying these details manually, so I use a join wherein I want the transaction ID that has won the lucky draw, then the customer name and the contact number. I am not bothered about who is the salesman who made this transaction. I am not bothered about the amount of transaction. So these three are the details which I want in my UI layer to be displayed. So when I want to display these details in the website, I have to pick data from two tables. So I have to pick this transaction ID from this table, and based on the customer ID from sales table, I have to pick the customer details from the customer table. So when my requirement is to pick the data from two tables or two or more tables and display at a single place, display at a single location, I would go for joins. So when do we go for joins? We go for joins when we want to pick the data from two different tables, or in fact two or more different tables, and display them at a single place. So that is when we go for join. So what is the syntax for this particular join? I selected some rows from city table. I joined the city table with the country table, and if you take a look at this particular one, how are you picking up this customer name and customer contact number? We are picking these values based on the customer ID. So for the sales table and the customer table, the common column or the relation between both of them is customer ID. So I will equate the customer ID. So here between the city table and the country table, the common values are country ID. It's not primary key, it's the foreign key. It's foreign key in city table, and whereas it's primary key in country table. But it may not be primary key or foreign key relationship in all the cases. When we go for joins, we need not go for primary and foreign key. So it is almost similar to the foreign key concept, but it is not same as foreign key. We just make use of a common column. That's it. And also, if you want to know the countries or if you want to know the list of cities which are from a particular country, so even if I include an and condition, and let's say you want to know the country or you want to know the list of cities which are from the country Afghanistan. Yes, this particular example makes better sense. For example, you want to know the list of cities in a country. So when you want to know the list of cities in a particular country, we know the country name. So we know the country name which is available in the country table, but we have to know the list of cities in that country. So we have to again depend on table. So we are depending on two tables. So we are picking data from the two tables simultaneously and displaying at a single place. So is it clear now?
I have a question, Bharat.
Yes.
Yeah, because now that you explained with the foreign key and the primary key,
Okay.
um, there is a question related to that. Each
Okay.
and every table has a primary key, right? We
No,
have
it is
to.
not a mandatory one. Primary key, there is no compulsion that each and every table should have a primary key,
Okay.
but we maintain it because to maintain unique unique rows.
Okay. Um, if we use the same primary key in another table, it becomes a foreign key, isn't it right?
Yes, primary key of one table is used as foreign key in the other table. Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
the point which I wanted to ask, I forgot. I'm sorry. I'll come back to you again.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is what a join means. So what does a join mean? Join is nothing but you are depending on two different tables or two or more different tables, and we pick the data from multiple tables and display at a single place. So don't bother about foreign key, don't bother about primary key. All we are doing is picking the data from the multiple tables or fetching the data from multiple tables and displaying it at a single place. That's it. Why do we need it? It is needed to for the end user's convenience. So third line, okay, this line, right? Okay, this is nothing but city dot country ID. It means this country ID is from the table with the name city. This is the table name. So if you take a look at both the tables have the columns with the name country ID. So country table has a column with the name country ID. City table has a column with the name city ID, country ID. So in order to differentiate that this particular column is from the city table and this particular column is from the country table. So first we use table name. This is the table name dot country ID. It means this country ID is from the city table. And again within this particular statement it says this country ID is from the country table. So in order to know the interpreter that I am using country ID of country table, country ID of city table. So we are just equating it because as I said earlier, the common column between both of them is country ID. So we are trying to equate the common columns. Is it clear now? And the fourth line is all about knowing or I'm just it's like a applying a where condition on select statement. That's it. So I am interested in knowing the list of cities from the country Afghanistan. So I applied a condition stating that country is equal to Afghanistan. So it is the country or it is country is a column name here. This one. Or in fact, to make it more clear, like the earlier case, I can write it country dot country is equal to Afghanistan. So from the country table, I am going for the column country. So this is a column name, that's it. So I'm interested in knowing the list of cities from the country Afghanistan. So I just applied a condition saying that the country name should be Afghanistan. So it will return me only the list of cities which are from the country Afghanistan. That's it. So why do we need this condition? Or not this one, the condition which I have mentioned in the third line. What happens if I don't include this condition? What happens if I don't include this condition is, so we have the common column country ID. So if I omit this condition, I'll get a cross product of both the tables. So for each and every row in the city, or in fact, it's very difficult if you consider such a linear table. So if I do the join operation between customer and the sales table without applying any condition or without equating the common columns, the problem would be it will fetch the details from the first table, let's say customer. So customer ID, customer name, then it will join it with the first row. I mean, I am not writing all the column names, just I will write the IDs from both the columns, both the tables. So it will again fetch the first row from the first table and it will write the second transaction. Again it will fetch the second row from the first table, then first transaction. Second row, second transaction. So there are no more transactions in the sales tables. So again it will write the first row. So for each and every row in the first table, it will make or it will create a table wherein for each and every row from the first table, there will be a corresponding row in the second table. But this is not the original data we want. We are interested only in the transaction ID and the corresponding customer. So for the transaction ID, the corresponding customer is 2. But if you take a look at T01, we have 1 here, 2 here, 3 here. And if you take a look at T02, so we have multiple rows where T02 is displayed. But original data for T02, there is only one customer ID, 1. So if I apply this condition where customers dot customer underscore ID is equal to sales dot customer underscore ID. What am I doing here? I am trying to equate the column customer ID within the customer table with ID in the customer ID in the sales table. So when customer ID in the customers table or in the sales table is equal to customer ID. So in first case, if I consider the customer ID 1, and the customer ID corresponding customer ID 1. So what is the transaction? Common transaction T002. So for this condition is true for this one. And again for customer ID 1, what is or for transaction ID T001, what is the customer ID 2? And if I equate this customer ID here, so for customer ID 2 and transaction ID T001, this condition is satisfied. And for other conditions, it will not satisfy. So only the valid data is this one. This one is valid data and this one is valid data where we have S. Others are invalid data. They are just uh, columns, they are just rows which are not at all needed. So I am applying a condition which will remove the invalid data, which will validate the data, and only the valid data is available in the result table. So is it clear, or do you want me to explain once again? Why am I applying this condition? Is it clear? Okay. So in order to read only the valid data, I am using this condition. So that's the main intention behind usage of this condition. Yes. So this is about the join. So let us try to understand or try to look into each and every type of join. So again, inner join is also called as uh, inner join is also called as simple join. So inner join, whatever with the operation that we have seen so far, is nothing but it's an inner join. So let us try to understand this by writing a query. So if you take a look at payment table, within the payment table we have a customer ID. So I would want, or let's say I want the list of payments, or list of, yeah, I would need the list of payments which are made by customer uh, with the name. Let me just have a look at the customer names. Yes, let us go for the name Nancy. So I would want the list of customers, sorry, list of payments made by Nancy. So let's say you are one of the customer of this particular, whatever the store it is. So you are the customer of this particular store, and I want to know your payment history, or I want to know what are different payments that you have made to my company. So I am trying to evaluate people to know who is the customer who is spending more in my store. So in such case, in order to know the spendings of each and every customer, I would I should check the list of payments made by you. So in such case, I have to depend on two different tables again. So select start from payments. Then I will inner join this table with customers. table names are all singular. Yes. So where what should be the condition? What is the common column between both of the tables? So customer table and the payment table. What is the common column? Any guess? Just look at the structure of the table here. It will tell you the common column. Yes. So just look at the structures of both the tables and it will give you the common column. So payment table has all these columns. Customer. These are all the columns from customer table. These are all the values from payment table. So if you take a look at both the columns, we will have at least one common column. Otherwise, there is no point in applying join operation. So customer ID is the common column where payment dot customer ID. So I am trying to equate the customer ID from the payment table. This is the table name. So I am using this table name here. That's it. Nothing much. So again, I have customer table. So let me just execute it. So this gives me the list of payments as well as customer IDs, a list of records from the payment table and customer table. So I apply another condition here where customer dot first name is equal to Nancy, because we are interested in knowing the details of Nancy. So these are different transactions made by Nancy. If I need the list of, or if I need the count of transactions, I can just apply a count operation here. So there are 28 transactions which are performed by her. So is it clear? Any questions? Any confusion? Okay. So inner join is all about applying a join operation on two different tables so that you will get the all the rows which match that particular condition that you are going to apply. So that is about the inner join. And if you take a look at this particular material, so it will give you the syntax of inner join. So for writing inner join, we can go for any one syntax. Again, so what is left join then? So the left join means, again coming back to this example, so left join, it will have the rows from the left table. So if I apply a join operation between two tables here, payment and the customer, so this left join will have the all the rows from the left table and the corresponding columns from the right table. But what is the difference? In the earlier case, we will get columns, or we will get all the rows from the left table as well as right table based on the condition. But if you go for left join, all the rows from the left table will be displayed irrespective of the condition, and the corresponding statement or corresponding record from the right table will be displayed, will be fetched. But if you don't have a corresponding record, then a blank record or blank values will be displayed for the right table rows. So if you take a look at this particular example, so for customer ID 1, we have corresponding row. For customer ID 2, we have corresponding row. But for customer ID 3, we don't have any corresponding row. So do we have any value in the second table with the customer ID? No. So instead of Excel, let me just create a table quickly so that it would be more clear. Create table customer customer underscore ID, where customer ID is an integer, and name of the customer. Name should be text, some text characters, close. Then I will create table customer sales transaction ID, which is varchar, then customer ID, don't bother about sales ID, which is this. So are you able to understand whatever I am writing? The create table structure. So don't bother about this foreign key primary key. So we have two tables. Just give me a minute. I'll be back. So let us try to insert values. So I have two tables ready. Let us see. Yes, I have three rows in the customer table. I have two rows in the sales table. But so in the first case, I am interested in knowing all the transactions and the corresponding customer names. So in such case, I go for what is called as inner inner join or simple join, which we have seen so far. So let's say in the next report, I am interested in knowing all the my main intention here is to know all the customers who are available in my database. So in my database, I have the list of customers, and I want to know whether a particular customer has made or he has purchased some items or not. That's it. I'm not interested in anything else. I'm interested in knowing, or I want the list of all the customers and also their transactions. If they didn't do any transactions, that's fine, but I want their name to be available in the list. So basically, I am interested in the list of customers, and if they did some transactions, then give me the details of the transactions as well. So in such case, we go for left join. So again, left join also works the same way. So select start from customer table. I make it as left because this is my interest. And sales S. So why am I writing customer C sales S? I'll tell you why I'm writing it. Left join sales S. So in fact, we can use font. Let me just so I have the list of customers and their transactions. So for the third customer, I don't have transactions, but his values are displayed because I'm interested in the list of customers. So this is when you go for left join. So similarly, let me just show you the simple join as well so that it would be clear. I can make it of the same scale. So instead of where, we use on. So it is allowed only in the case of joins, but you can always go for where. So this is the simple join where for each and every customer corresponding transaction. If the customer doesn't have a transaction ID, his name will not be available here. So this is simple join, and there is something called right join. So I am interested in all the sales, not in the customers. So I am trying to generate a report which has all the sales details and what is the corresponding customer ID. So from the right table, all the values are displayed. But uh, only in this case, the customers who are available in the customer ID are available in the transaction table. That's why it is similar, or the result set is similar to simple join. But let me just insert another row. So let us say you are the customer of some shopping mall, but some shopping malls only allow registered users or the members or the customers who are members of that particular mall to shop in their shopping mall. But some shops may also allow non-registered customers to do shopping. So in such case, we will not have the corresponding customer ID. So let me just say that a non-registered customer or the customer who is not existing in the customer table has made a purchase. So let us insert this into. Yes, exactly. Left refers to first table or the table. Left refers to the table name which is existing towards the left side of join operation. So for the right join which I have done here, so all the details from the right table are populated here, but for the transaction, third transaction, I don't have the corresponding customer, so these columns are left as null. But if we have a common customer ID, then it will fetch the details. That's it. So that's where you use right join. So left join and right join, they are opposite to each other. And in case if you know the left join, then if you change the table names from here to here, then it becomes equivalent to right join. That's it. And why am I using this C? This C is used because instead of writing the customer, or let's say I have, instead of writing the complete table name here, I just use C. And instead of writing the sales, or instead of writing the table name sales here, I just make use of S. So it is like you are trying to reduce your effort to type the complete table name. So instead of typing the complete table name, we just use this customer name C or C. And it can also help you when you are applying the join on a single table. So I want to apply the join operation on the same table. So in such case, if I use two names, then it would be easy for the interpreter to understand when you use this function. So see, that's it. So that's how left join and the right join works. So let me just show you, since the time has come, let me just show you what happens if I don't uh, include a condition. So I did not write any condition here. So let us try to understand what has happened. So for the row 1, I have, sorry. So for 1, I have 1, 2, 3. 2, I have 1, 2, 3. Again for 3, I will have 1, 2, 3. So it is nothing but a cross product. So did you understand why am I applying uh, this where condition or the on condition between common columns? After looking at this result set, are you able to understand? Okay. So for each and every row in one table, it will take the cross product of the entire rows in the second table. So 1 for the first row in the first table, a cross product of all the rows in the right table. Again for the second row in the first table, a cross product of all the rows in the second table. So that is why I applied this particular condition. So these are three different these are different types of joins, and there is another join, uh, full outer join. So let us see what will happen if I go for this full outer join. Actually, full of the join gives the cross product. This is not accepting the logic. Let us see if this particular syntax works or not. Let me just refer to the manual of MySQL. Actually, that is a generic SQL syntax, but I am not sure why it is not accepting it. Actually, this is the page which I was referring to earlier. So I'll share the link of this page. Well, this does not have the complete. So, so full join is nothing but it's a cross product. That's it. Or it is a combination of left join as well as the right join. So that is nothing but a full join. So specific to MySQL, the syntax is not working. So I'll just go through it and I'll tell you the syntax. I'll send out an email about the syntax. So any questions so far? Okay. So let me just tell you another concept and I'll stop the class today after that concept. So I'm going to tell you two important things. One is group by, the other one is having class. So what, where do we use this group by and where do we use this having class? Let's say uh, in the earlier case we have seen the list of payments made by a single customer. But what if we want the list of payments made by all the customers? or let's say you are trying to know how many payments were made by each and every customer. So in such case, we go for a group by operation. So let me just write a query. So we want to know the number of payments of each and every customer. So I would refer to payment table, count of customer underscore ID. But may not go for the second table until I analyze a new payment. So it's all about the problem that you need, that you have, and the solution that you need. So just try to try different methods and you will get it. So the particular first customer has made 32 transactions. Then the second customer has made 27 transactions. Third customer has made 26 payments. Similarly, each and every customer. So it is like grouping based on the customer ID. So in order to group by the customer ID, I have to use this particular group by column. So what did you do here? Select, or what is your intention here? I want to know the complete count of the payments made by the each and every customer. Again, the similar concept can be applied on the minimum value also. So you want to know the minimum amount of transaction spent by each and every customer. So there is a column with name amount. So I say p dot amount. So it will give you the list of the minimum payments made by each and every customer. So the first customer has spent at least 0.99. Second customer has spent at least 0.99. So these are minimum payments by each and every customer. So this is where we use group by. Or I can also say as minimum, because I don't want to display it as minimum of become account where I am disclosing the column name. Become amount is the column name. I am displaying it to the end user, but which is not really necessary. So I just say minimum spent by this customer. So this is when I go for group by. And if let's say I want to apply some condition, so when I want to apply condition, I have to use having p dot customer id is equal to 5. So it is similar to where condition, but we cannot use where after going for after grouping or after this particular aggregate function. So in such case we use having. That's it. Suppose without having, let's say this is the count. So this is the count, and you want to display it as per order by So we are displaying it as by sorting it as per the minimum value. So for that I used something called order by. Order by will sort the result set. You can also use DESC or so it will display the decreasing order. If you want the ascending order, you can say ASC. That's it. So this is the ascending order. So is it clear now? Order by, group by, having. So I'll share this list of queries that we have written today. So just practice those queries, and over the weekend I am going to share one assignment with you. Please work on that assignment, which will help you a lot. So as I said earlier, this one SQL is very important. If you have SQL skills, then you may be hired as tester because there are many projects which work on SQL testing or which work on database testing. So try to learn as much as you can. In case of any doubts, get back to them. No problem. So any more questions? Hello. Okay. So in the next session, we are going to look into something called data warehouse. So we will see what is data warehouse. After, I mean, let me just check the working of this working. Yes, it is working. I'm sorry, this webinar is still down. So I'll share the list, or I'll tell you another website where you can practice MySQL. So I'll send out an email. I just have to look whether the other site is also working or not. So when I find the site to be up, then I'll share the list of, or I'll share the site details with you. So just practice SQL on. Otherwise, you can also practice SQL on the MS Access which you have when you install MS Office Suite. So Webminal, actually the site is looking up, but the problem is login functionality is not enabled still there. So just for now, for today, go through the notes, and yes, for today just go through the notes, and in the and during the weekend just try to work on these assignments. So any more questions? Yes. I mean, I will send assignment, and that assignment will have, I mean, it will not have SQL queries. I'll ask some statements. I'll ask, like how I said during the classes, I will say, please write a query for this particular situation. So based on the situation, you should be able to write queries. So that will help you in understanding. That will help you, or that will give you the real time knowledge where this query is used. So that's why I will give you some statements. Just write the statements. I mean, just work on those assignments. It will give you, or it will help you to understand this concepts better. That's it. Okay. Thanks a lot. Bye. Thank you. Seriously.